lovely crafty lot, and how are you this morning? Oh, wow, have we got an exciting week for you. Today is the first of our week of Craft Your Stash shows. It's going to be so much fun. You've got a whole plethora of experts in all week with their favourite craft genre, shall we say, and they're going to take all the way through it, and it's going to be so much fun. So we thought we'd start the week with a bang. We thought we'd start at the top, we'd start right up there, she's nodding, right up there with our Becky, and we're going to be doing some sewing today. It's going to be all about bag making. Good morning, Becky.
Morning. I like that. Start at the top.
Yeah.
Always. Who's on Friday?
I don't know.
That's good.
No, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. It's going to stay at the top.
It's going to stay at the top. And I do like your use of plethora as well.
Yeah.
I was going to go for smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord, that's another good word.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how many times we can use those in the day.
Okay. We'll try and get some good words in the whole day.
Yeah. It'll be like, we've been reading up, doing a little bit of English.
Thesaurus. We had a thesaurus for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another good word.
Yes, exactly, breakfast. Yes, I'm going to be doing lots and lots of different things on bag making. So I'm going to be looking at different techniques, little hints and tricks that, it works for me. Don't know whether it's approved, but lots of hints and tricks I'm going to be showing you how to do. I'm a big fan of glue, I have to say. Big fan of textile glue. I think it makes your whole life easier. And so if you've never bothered using it before, it's definitely something to get started on. So, yeah, lots and lots of different types of bags. We're looking at bags with dies, bags with templates. We're looking at doing something a little bit different. If you've been looking on my social media, you would have seen that I was playing around with some glitter paste.
Oh, we like glitter paste.
All I'm saying.
Okay,
that's
yeah.
The rest of the day.
That's it.
Highly unlikely. I'm going to do a little bit with glitter paste today. We're going to do it in wake-up call, and then when we do some bag making a little bit later on, we're going to be using
nice and dry.
The glittered paste piece of fabric.
Oh, and glitter paste works so well on fabrics. I mean, I put some on a pencil case the other day. Look lovely, look really nice. You just have to give it a little bit longer to dry sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's perfect, really good. So that's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a really, really good day today. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. We've got, as you see, it's myself and Becky all day. It's just us all day. And we have got our Rachel on the socials. She's sending them through. She's here all day. It's a consistent team. Excellent. I just thought we like it. And we have got Nicola and James in the gallery. James has been in all weekend with us as well. He's working hard.
I think all last week when I was working, James was in.
Was he in?
It felt like that, yeah.
He hasn't been home. I did say to him this morning, have you slept here? He said no, he had been home.
He does, he sleeps over there. There's a sleeping bag over there in the corner.
No. So we hope you have, you're ready for crafting, sending in your questions, your crafty questions. And if you've got any queries about bag making, then please, send them this way and I'll pass them over to Becky. And like she says, she'll give you her take on it. Might be different to somebody else's take, but it's going to work really well. So yeah, brilliant. What have you got to show us then, Becky?
I've got this first one. So this is our wristlet. This was one of our new bag making dies with the velvet, which I say is like snuggling up with a baby hamster. Oh.
You've done that a lot?
I do it a lot. Yeah.
You do it a lot?
Basically, any time this velvet's on, I go...
No, I meant snuggling up with a baby hamster.
Oh, yeah. Don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could fit quite a few baby hamsters in here. Might end up with more baby hamsters if you put lots of baby hamsters in here. Anyway, it's not recommended for hamster carrying, I'm just saying, but it's a really nice kind of size bag. Really quite handy because you can fit quite a lot in here. So if you were going to something like a festival, you can fit a small bottle of water in here, your toiletry, like hand wipes, that kind of thing. And then because you've got it on a little wrist thing here, it makes it nice and easy. But really lovely. It's got a little zip in here. It's got some cool lining. So we're going to be making one of these in the show later on today. So that is our rain bag wristlet. We're also going to be looking at animal applique dies. So this first one is a little bear. If I put that there, do you know what that is?
Bear behind.
A bear behind. Yay!
The old ones are the best, Becky. The old ones are the best.
I'm going to be coming out with. So these, we've got different templates. We've got the fox, rabbit, bear and deer. They come in 3 different sizes, so it makes them really worthwhile popping into your basket. So there's a little bunny. Really, really very, very useful because obviously you can see them here using them on bags and home decor, but you can of course use them for, and this is a bit of a table runner, Christmassy table runner, or maybe using them for Christmas tree skirt. There's all sorts of different.
Do you know, as soon as I saw that, I was thinking Christmas tree skirt.
Yeah. I think it's the colours and everything. Really usable, and you don't need your Gemini for those. So that's a sort of. I'm trying to give you a mixture of different things you need your Gemini for, and other things that you won't need your Gemini for. And then this is a sample of one of the new bags. This is your drawstring backpack bag, which I always think was really handy for like kids for their swimming bags and things.
It's got that vibe to it, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And we've got this little eyelet tool, which you may have seen me use. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not going to go wrong today.
Oh, did it go wrong the other day?
Well, it was challenging, I would say. I had a little bit. I did have a bit of a temper tantrum. That's absolutely right. And then, as soon as the show stopped, it worked perfectly.
Oh, it is.
It was just one of those things. I ended up getting my ends sort of ran the wrong way.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be all right. I'm sure it'll be
I
fine.
like the fabric on that.
Yeah, this is very nice. We haven't got this fabric, and this is some fabric that one of the design team have got hold of. But yeah, it looks really good. They're quite substantial bags. We've got 3 different templates in that sort of bundle. They've all got these eyelets around them, but different types of bags. So we're going to be making one of those as well. We've also. I'm really sorry because I can't remember the name and I didn't check before. Somebody on Facebook was asking about this particular product, this cutter. So this is a Dresden plate cutter, and asking about how it was used. And I said, look, actually, I've already packed it in my bag, so we'll demonstrate how this is used today as well. So we're going to be doing something on this. It's Frances Hampton. I've just been here. So Frances, if you're watching, we're going to do this today, this morning, in the first show.
Brilliant.
But you'll be able to watch it back if you miss out on it as well. But I also wanted to, can I say thank you?
You can.
To Althea, who sent me these absolutely gorgeous little Japanese calendars that she found in her sister's house. They were sent to her by a Japanese lady that her sister met at a Cliff Richard concert, and rather than throw them away, she sent them all to me, and there's quite a few. Thank you so much. They are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to have a lovely time working out what we should do with them, because I totally agree with you. They are too beautiful to throw away. We must do something with them, so I will create something. But thank you very much.
That's very kind. Oh, we do have the nice viewers, don't we?
Yeah.
We have lovely viewers. Excellent. Right, okay, so we've got... Talking of viewers, we've got Sarah Browning. Do you know, she's even further in front now because they're in their daylight saving over in Australia. Yeah, so it's 9 p.m. now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 9 p.m. over in Melbourne. So good evening, Sarah. So there we go. She's saying hello to everyone. Terry Meeham is in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, I think so, yeah. Lynn Blackledge is in from Isle of Wight. Taylor Sugg says, good morning, everyone. Sandra Dundas is saying morning to everyone and all the crafty, chatty chums. Yeah, I know. The chat that goes on that we don't see is amazing. And Lynn Morton is in from Newcastle. It's not raining today, Lynn. Every day I'm in, I've had Lynn saying from a wet Newcastle.
Oh.
It's not today. It looks to be nice and dry today. So
nice.
Excellent. So yeah, so Rachel will keep feeding through all of your social comments. But first of all, let's have a look at the first item we have to show you. So these are really good. So do these cross over between papercraft and sewing?
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, you can use them for both. And you've got 2 different dies in there, so one to cut in and one to cut out. So you can absolutely use them for creating, cutting inside a card and then stitching, or doing the same with fabric, or then cutting out with that kind of mat and layer kind of die in there. So really, really useful.
Excellent. So what you're going to get is you're going to get the 3 sets of dies that you can see here, and each one, did you say, is... Do you say, oh, there's multiple dies in each pack? Oh, yes, there's lots, isn't there? I can see there's the florals, there's the sentiment, you've got them all. And I love how the words, the friend, the thank you, and the hello almost gives you that position to stitch through. So that looks lovely. And you're going to get a bundle of felt with those as well. Now, again, these are your multimedia dies. They are your bronzy gold coloured dies. So they're going to work perfectly through your fabric, But again, you can go through your paper craft if you want to. So the special price for those today, just for today, is £50 or $70. But if you are platinum, look at that, right down, £40 or $56, which is really, really good value. You're getting 33 mixed media dyes, which are brilliant. Absolutely. Oh, and Becky's got something to show us.
I've got a few samples. So these are mostly paper craft samples. So because I'm going to show you how to use them for soft craft anyway. But you can see how they work. So you'll actually get dies with tiny little perforations in them to create those little holes, and that's what you're going to be stitching through. So you can see this one here. You've got that thank you. Now I would suggest that you use embroidery thread, and you use all 6 thicknesses of the embroidery thread. So when you have embroidery thread, you'd obviously have 6 strands, and if you were embroidering, you'd probably use 2 or 3. The holes are quite significant on these, so I'd use a full thick stitch, or you can use something similar if you have a look around in your stash. Ribbon is too thick, but something that's the same kind of thickness. Could you string? If you wanted to, maybe
would look nice,
twine, yeah, maybe dyeing the string in multicolours might be quite nice. But you can see how they work by using those in your paper craft, and they make quite a nice idea. So this one here has actually been cut into the card. And then the layer of the paper on the top, though you've used the mats to cut out that shape, so it's all been cut in rather than being cut out.
Right,
But to give you an idea of what they look like with the fabric, there's one here, just with a little Hessian kind of bag, just stitched, cut out, and then stitched with some embroidery thread. Really easy to do, a nice item to have, because I like things that you can use in lots of different ways. I think it's always quite nice.
Yeah, and you're going to use those today?
I will be doing those a little bit later on.
That would be brilliant. Excellent. So you stay tuned for that. Brilliant. We also have Christine Mahoney in. Good morning, Christine. She's in saying morning, everyone. We've got Teresa in from San Diego, California. We've got Trinkle's Garden and Home Life. Good morning, everyone, from Irene in Georgia. And Louise Ditch says good morning from West Sussex. So morning to everyone. Now, the first part of Becky's demo, she's going to do with these. So these are your sewing templates. Now, these come individually, so I'll show you them one at a time. So it's the drawstring crossover bag. These come in templates. So you remember Becky was just saying when we were sat on the chair, there are some things that you're going to need your Gemini for, and there's some things that you can use without your Gemini, because we appreciate not everybody needs them. And also, you can get them a bit bigger. You are obviously limited in size when you're losing your Gemini, because you can only have dies that are going to fit through that large plate. With this, you can go even bigger because, you know, we're going to do it in templates. You can see on here, I don't know if I can't see where it says how big the template is, but I'm guessing it's almost as big as this packet. Under the drawstring bag. Oh, that's the approximate size of the bag. Doesn't say how big the template size. There it is. 16.5 by 11.7 inches. There we go. It does say it's just up there. It was too much for me. I was scanning quickly. So yeah, we go. So we've got that. I love the price. $9.99 or $12.95. If you are platinum, that's going to go right down to $7.99 or $10.36. That's lovely. So that's oh no, that's not the bag you just showed us. But again, I love that lovely crossover bag. So that's the first one. The one that Becky just showed you out, that gorgeous fabric, is this one here. So this is the backpack. You can do drawstring backpack. I love that. Just with that little hint of colour just there where you put your thread through. Again, exactly the same price, $12.99 or $9.99, sorry, or $12.95, and your platinum price $7.99, $10.36. Again, you've got everything you need in here. It tells you how much you need of your outer fabric, your lining fabric on the back. You've got everything you'll need. Your outer fabric, your inner fabric, your interfacing, your wadding, how much cord you'll need, your eyelet tool. It's brilliant. So you know before you even get it out of the pack, you can line everything up and know that you're ready to go. Nothing worse, is there, than getting halfway through a project and going, I've forgotten something. No, you've got that lovely menu on the back, not menu, recipe almost. And the final one we have got, I love this one, I love the shape of this one. This is a drawstring shoulder bag. Again, really, really nice to make. And this looks like it could be made out, I don't know whether that's been done out of, that felt it looks like, that felt?
It's a leather look fabric that we have.
Oh, is that the leather look fabric, that
leather
one?
look fabric.
Oh, I'll show you that one in a bit. It looks really nice like that. That would be lovely and soft. Again, exactly the same price. If you're platinum, $7.99, $10.36. So you can use whichever one you want. But Becky is going to have a go at that bag. And we're going to do it in stages over the day. So it's nice and easy, so it's not going to overwhelm. We're going to do lots of bits. And this is where we're going to start.
Yeah. So this one is one I said would be the best one for people to start with, and there is really only one reason for it. It's because it's quite simple, but also it doesn't need that many of those eyelets being put in it, because some of them need about 24 in there, which is it's quite time consuming. It's better to show the quicker one on screen, I think. And actually, I wanted the pocket. So the pocket is the thing that we're going to be using the glitter paste for, because I thought, actually, if you had just plain fabric, if you had things like calico, which is just like a plain, unbleached kind of cotton, which is the kind of thing that you would use for, you know, when you get like those tote bags that have been printed, when you get them free. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, calico. Calico is quite a cheap fabric. It's very easy to get hold of. It's very, very wide as well. So if you wanted to have a go at making bags, but you didn't want to spend lots of money on fabric because you just want to play about, this for me would be quite good, because you could make it out of calico. You could use some glitter paste on the panels and make it look really quite spectacular. So we're just going to do some glitter paste on the actual pocket here. So when you get your template home, you will find that you get this large template here, which is overlapped. We try and make everything as sort of cost effective as possible, which is why we overlap these rather than having separate pieces.
Right.
Now you can see here, we've written on here exactly what everything's called, and we tell you how many of everything to cut out. If you've never sewn before and you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about wadding, wadding is this kind of stuff. It's kind of fluffy, soft.
Quite dense, isn't it, though?
It can be. It depends on the kind of weight. So you get different types of weight. The idea for this is what you put in between your quilts. And obviously the thicker or the deeper, the heavier, the bigger the loft, which is what it's called. The loft is the sort of fluffiness, I suppose, for want of a better term, is how warm it becomes. So if you're going to have a blanket that's going to go, or a quilt that's going to go on your bed, you want to have it with quite a high loft, so it's nice and thick and cosy. If you want something that hangs on the wall, you'll have something like this, because it just needs a little bit for structure. And this is the kind of thing that I would use for bags, just to give them a bit of structure. You can use this, or you can use something called bosal, which is a foam, which is very, very thick. Now, to give you an idea, that is a bag. Well, these two bags are using some of our velvet. So I'm going to take all the packaging out of the inside so you can see. This one has some wadding in it, so some of this, and it has some. I know it's like a magic trick, but I wanted you to see the structure of it so you can see how it looks. So this has got some of the wadding, and it's got a lining with just cotton fabric, and it's got that velvet. So you can see it sort of holds its shape, but it's quite floppy, floppy. Now this isn't the same bag, it's a bag in the same collection, but this one has been used with foam, so bosal inside it. And you can see it's much more structured, and actually this design lends itself to being more structured because it is a box, it's a cube bag. So you can see you've got a very different feel to things. Now, if you're going to be using foam, bosal foam, it's quite rigid, and you want to cut it slightly smaller than the template because you don't want to stitch through it.
Right.
Okay, so those are the difference. This is optional. And we talk about interfacing. Basically, interfacing is almost like a sheet of the extra kind of stiffening that you might want to do. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do, and it really varies depending on the kind of effect you want, but also the kind of fabric that you're using. If you're using something very structured like a denim or something like that, you're probably not going to need much else in it, because denim, or thick denim, holds its shape very well. So that's when we're talking about interfacing and wadding. So you can see you've got these panels, we've got these lines here. This indicates how we want the fabric to flow. So we're talking about the grain line of the fabric. So when we've talked before, we say how when fabric's created, you've got these strips of thread that go up and down, and then the thread is woven from left to right through the fabric. So basically it's almost like a grid system. If you really look deep down, it'll all be at right angles. So you want to make sure your fabric is going straight up. So your fabric is, you know, the long lines are going straight up. So this is called the weft that becomes from side to side, and this is called the warp. So you want to go with the warp. And the reason for that is because fabric stretches when it's in different ways. So it doesn't stretch very far this way, but it stretches a long way this way and loads if you do it diagonally. So if you just shove the fabric on and just cut it any old how, you'll get some discrepancies when you're building things. Not so much of a problem when you're creating something that's very square, but something that's got angles on it, it becomes difficult.
Oh, Rachel's just said, if you've got a piece of fabric that's cut out and you've not got like the edging binding around the edge, how can you tell which is which?
Okay, so I'll show you. So this bit is a little bit of a, I have got an edge on here, so I know that's my, I know if I put it like this, I know that's where my warp is. If I pull it, if I didn't know, I didn't have that there, it's just a little piece of fabric I cut, I can pull it this way, there's a little bit of give. If I pull it this way, you can see there's a lot more give.
Oh yeah.
And if I pull it this way, there's loads of give. So if you were making a dress and you wanted it very clingy, you would cut it on the bias, you cut it diagonally, because then you'd have all that give, all that stretch. So if I had a small piece of fabric, I'd grab a tiny piece. This piece here is quite small. I can't tell because I've got no edge to it. Yeah. So I'm going to pull it that way. There's a bit of movement there. Put it that way. There's definitely more movement that way. So I know that my grain line is going this way because I can feel there's less of a stretch. Right. Can you see that when I'm pulling? Yes. There's definitely more stretch. It's more bouncy. That way. It's a bouncier stretch, isn't it? Yeah, and it's just to do with how the fabric's created. So that would be the only thing you would need to do. Obviously with this piece, you can see I've got that selvage edge. So this is the edge that would be attached. You can see you've got little tiny holes. Yeah. That's the edge that's attached to the side of the loom when you're putting it all together. All right, so you know that is like that's the side. So that you know that line, you'd have one on this side and one on that side from the width of your fabric. And so your grain line would be going this way. So if I test it by pulling, bit of movement, lots more movement. So I know it's that way round. Thank you. That was a very comprehensive reply. Thank you. I'm full of useless information. Told you all this before. It's all very useful. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut out, I've already cut out all the pieces, but I need to cut out the pocket panel. So I've already got my piece of fabric, roughly the right size, over here. Let's get that in the right place. So I've popped it on here just to make sure I've got the right amount. So my pocket panel is like this. Yeah. So in your little booklet that you'll get with your bag making template, we've given you step-by-step instructions. We've made it very, very clear. We have taken each section of the template and we've highlighted it in red because obviously you've got these overlapping pieces just to make sure it's very, very clear. So my pocket panel, you can see it's just highlighted in red. And it's that halfway point, or more or less halfway point on the panel. So it's going up here, and that's my pocket panel. And then you have a look through here, and we'll give you step-by-step instructions about how to put everything together. Perfect. So like I say, we make it nice and clear. There are no videos for these because they're actually quite simple for you to do. The only other thing to look at are these holes here. So these holes are holes where you want to put your rivets, where you want to cut your eyelets, where you want to cut your little holes. So you can mark these. I've not marked them yet. You can mark these by putting a little piece of tailor's chalk in there. If you're using light colour fabric, you can use a heat erasable pen. If you're unhappy with that and you want something that's a little bit more visible, you can stitch. Just get some embroidery thread and just do a little stitch and then cut it off. So you've just basically got a little tuft of thread hanging out of those, and you need to mark those on all of your lining pieces and all of your outer pieces as well. Right. And you can see over here we've got this other panel. This is your side panel. You've got exactly the same thing, so you just need to make sure you're putting down the correct holes for the correct panel of fabric that you're working on. Right. So quite simple really. So what we've done here is I've marked out with a heat erasable pen, which you cannot see because it's red and this fabric's dark. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of tape in the corners so I know where that piece is going to be, so where this panel is going to be cut out, because what I want to do is use some of our glitter paste and one of our stencils, and I want it in the centre.
Before you trim it down?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to just use this. This is just, I'm not securing it down with the tape, I'm just using it as a little bit of a marker. If I was using a paler fabric, I would just be marking it with my heat erasable pen. But it's difficult to see. I can just about see it here through, but not very easily. So you can see that's how it's going to be. I'll just pop that out of the way. I'm going to use one of the, is it a multimedia mat?
Yeah, mixed media.
Mixed media mat.
Multimedia mat, yeah.
So I'm going to put that there, and I will just tape all of this down so it doesn't move. There we go. And then I'm using the Swirls and Flourish stencil.
Oh, great. Why are you not cutting your fabric down before you
Because
stencil?
I think it's better, because if we go over the edge with the so we're going to pop that in the middle here. If I've got any muck on either side of my work, and I'd already cut it down, it just gives you, it'll only give you, can you see, if that's where my mark is, it's only give me a scant amount on either side to work with. And I just thought, actually, it's better off, to be honest, that fits perfectly.
It does, doesn't it? That's
Inside
a really
there. It's
good
almost
fit.
like I planned it. I hadn't. But you can see that fits really well. I just think it was better, cleaner, easier to do this and then trim it down afterwards.
Just curious, that was all.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I just thought. It was better to do it that way. So we're just lining that up. There we go. And then we're going to use, I'm going to use some of the Jade River. Ooh. And I'm using some of the Fairy Lights. So this one is from the Christmas one, and this one is from the Everyday Glitter paste. I love that, Everyday Glitter. Everyday. Palette knife, and I'm a fan of the angled palette knife as well. And I prefer the round, like the butter knife edge, rather than the pointed edge. I just think it's easier. So I'm going to start with the gold in the middle. I might do a little bit of gold on either corner, and then I'm going to put some jade in the middle here.
Strange, isn't it? I like the pointy one.
Do you?
Yeah, and I'll clean it rather than get one of the other palette knives out.
Okay. It's funny what we get used to, isn't it?
It is purely personal preference, isn't it?
Yeah. So just scraping it in, and Nicola will be wanting toast in a minute, because we say that it always makes us want to have toast, glittery toast. And I'm just going to go across here. Now, you might find you want to tape it down fairly well when you're using fabric. I did give it a bit of a test. So the ones you've actually put it on your fabric, it stays put quite well. I haven't tried it in the rain, is all I'm saying. So it may be that this is a bag that you only take out, on occasions, or it's just a way of showing you what you're able to do. There are various products you can buy, sprays and things, which will seal glitter paste onto fabric.
Right.
But I've not tested them out. That just would be my caveat to that. I'll put a little bit up here and down there.
So easy to use. Have you sprayed the back of your stencil, or have you just put tape on it?
I've just put tape on it.
Put tape on. Yeah. I don't know whether the stick and spray works against fabric. I'm not sure. I've never tried it. I'll have to try it sometime.
Well, we do have repositionable spray for fabric as well. But again, I've not tried it with the templates, the stencils, so I don't know how that would work particularly. So we're going to be using some of the Jade River on either side of that.
You're a very tidy glitter paster, aren't you?
Am I? I've not tried to craft a full stop. I'm terrible. The messiest crafter you'll ever meet.
I do love looking behind your counter when you're doing these shows, because you literally, because everything's fabric, you just go, you just sort of drop it over your shoulder and pick it all up at the end.
Because everybody else, their samples are all quite small, and they're all sort of contained in like little baskets, whereas I have a trolley just to the right of me, with all of the stuff. Oh, I'm not sure if this is going to be any good. This is
nearly all gone.
Dried out, this one. Oh, I might have to get another one.
Ooh.
Yeah, this one's a bit dried out.
We're going to have to go all gold.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like another colour if I could have another colour. I'd like any colour really, jade or something brightly coloured. I don't worry, I'll do gold. I'll do gold throughout.
Oh, she's going to get you another one.
Oh, okay.
She's going to get you another one.
So you can see, I'm going to scrape off those little bits around here. But what I want to do is I want to get a bit of an ombre effect down either side.
It looks lovely when you blend two colours together, doesn't it?
And I think I was on with Sheena and with Jan last week, and they were both, was it last week or the week before? Who knows?
Last week.
And they were both using glitter paste, and I'd seen people use it before, but I hadn't had the opportunity, and I was like, I think I quite like that. Oh my goodness. I mean, I was only at home for 48 hours, but I still had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to play with glitter paste.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I should have put washing on, but I didn't. I was playing with glitter paste instead.
Don't worry.
That's a sign of a good crafter, isn't it?
Clean underpants.
Exactly.
You've got pretty things.
Exactly.
What does it matter?
Look how glittery and shiny it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to put another little bit of a couple of little colours down here, just to sort of finish it off, and then we're going to leave it to dry.
How long do you think it takes? Obviously, it depends on how thick you put it. So it's almost like how long is a piece of string?
Yeah.
Because the thicker you put it, the longer it takes. Oh, she's here. I can see her come in.
Actually, it didn't take very long at all. So I used my heat tool on this when I was working at home. Thanks. Oh, thank you. This one we're going to use. I use my heat tool and it dried really quickly. I would suggest you leave it for a couple of hours before you start fiddling around with it. But
glitter paste is better if you can just leave it to dry naturally.
Yeah.
We all say you can, you speed up that process with the heat tool, but you've got to be so careful because it can burn it if you put too much heat on it. So if you've got the opportunity just to pop it down and leave it so that you don't need to apply your heat tool, all the better. But that's an option if you need it.
Yeah, I just heated it a little or dried it a little bit so it wasn't so tacky, because obviously I had to then come up here and I didn't want it sort of and I was trying it out at home just to see how it came out, but it didn't take very long at all really. I think, like you say, if you don't want to put loads and loads on, you want enough on there, and if you're careful about how much you use, then you're not so massively heavy-handed, then it is going to dry fairly quickly. I'm being careful not to mix these because I don't want to get into trouble. So I'm just going to...
Yeah, you always need a spare pot to put your mixed colours in. Be good.
We're just going around these little bits, and I do
It does remind me of toast. I'm stood here now thinking toast.
Toast, yeah.
Yeah.
And I quite like the idea of buttery, glittery toast. I think it would taste delicious.
You
can get edible glitter. There was a whole controversy about edible glitter a few years ago.
There was.
Because it wasn't strictly, it was non-harmful, but it was not really food safe as such. So there were quite a few companies that were making glitter and saying it was edible, and it actually strictly wasn't. So there were a few people that stopped making it. But you can absolutely get sort of edible glitter.
Rachel is so hungry now, she says. She's so hungry. She thought that the explanation you gave about the waft and the weave on the fabric was really helpful.
Good.
It's mega helpful because I have random pieces of fabric that I've cut the selvage off. Oh my goodness me. Sorry. Stop talking, Corrine. Wow, isn't that beautiful?
Let's get rid of that bit. There you go. So
I
that
mean,
looks
if you bought
really
a
cool,
piece of
doesn't it?
fabric with anything close to that on it, how much would that cost you? That would be so expensive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be cheap, definitely
Now,
wouldn't
Becky
be
is
cheap.
popping her stencil straight in some water, and that's all. That is the top tip I can give you if you are doing these. Please just pop them in. I did a show, pop them in. Do you know what? After the show, I didn't have to rub them. I just ran them under a tap, and all the glitter comes off.
But you know, I left them in the sink at home, in the bathroom, and my husband went, "There's something in the sink." And I said, "Yes, it's glitter paste and stencil." And he went, "What are you trying to do?" And I said, "Clean it." And he went, "Oh, I thought you were trying to get glitter to go on the stencil." Men, I tell you. Right,
Yep.
we're going to put that to one side for it to dry. But when it dries, look, here's one I made earlier. it doesn't come off, which I find amazing. Sometimes with glitter, if you put glitter on fabric and you're worried about the glitter coming off, you can spray it with some hairspray, and that tends to keep it temporarily. But I just think this stuff, when I like a Christmassy jumper, Christmassy top, but they're really expensive, let's be honest. Even if you buy them from a cheap shop. I'd be buying T-shirts from a cheap shop, and I'd be using some of these to decorate them for Christmas. Yeah. And actually, I think that's what I'm going to be wearing when we do Christmas shows, when we've got to have Christmassy outfits. But this is, I think it works really well, and this is what we're going to use for a pocket later on when we make this bag here. So we're going to put that all together and have the pocket down here as well.
Loads of love. Sarah Brown says, wow, stunning. Diane Hatch says, beautiful. Absolutely loving that. Mistress Dio says, good morning, everyone. I'm sewing pretty patches on my husband's jeans whilst watching. Aww. Is he happy about pretty patches on his jean? Nicola can have pretty patches.
Do they have glitter paste?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what sort of pretty glitter paste your jeans.
Oh, they'd be a little bit stiff, I reckon.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. You'd be walking like a cowboy.
There we go. So, because Linda says, is it washable? And we've just said, as it is now, you're not too sure.
I wouldn't say it's washable. No, I wouldn't say it's washable, but I would say that you could potentially, with the right spray, you could make it sort of shower-proof, I would say, on the pocket. The idea is, I mean, I'm making it on the outside of a pocket. It's not on the inside of your bag. If it was all over your bag, as you walk along, I mean, let's be honest, anything rubs on your bag anyway. It's more of like a bit of a decoration, as something different to show you how to do. The idea for the glitter paste is that you can use them on fabric, but like a, you know, as a decorative kind of thing, rather than, you know, that it's not fabric glitter glue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to have a quick break now, and when we come back, we'll take the bag to the next step. So, yeah, if you want these, then make sure you pick up your stencils to be able to make the bags, and we're going to have a look at a quick video while you pick up your stencils.
Welcome to Crafters TV. With more than 35 hours of live shows each week, it's your home for all things craft. We shine the spotlight on new and innovative crafting products with live tutorials and demonstrations. Join our family of craft experts where fun happens every day.
Are we in trouble or are we all right? Should be coming in. Should be coming.
What does she do?
Exactly how he looks.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
Get creative and craft along. With our amazing deals, your next craft project is just a click away. Tune in live 7 days a week, or you can watch us on Catch Up at crafterscompanion.com, Facebook, or our YouTube channels. You can chat to us, craft along, and meet new friends by joining our online crafting community.
And I watch you every day, and it's just what really gets you through when you're really at rock bottom.
There's a show for every type of crafter, from first-time dabblers to full-time makers. Crafters TV, create every day.
Hi, I'm Ben from Crafters TV. As you may know, we've just launched an amazing new website, our new home of papercraft to house all of your crafty needs. And as we've had a bit of a makeover, I'm here today to help you log into your account on our brand new site. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Go to the Crafters Companion homepage. Make sure to select the correct location at the top of the page. Go to the My Crafters icon on the top right of your screen. Next, enter your email address. Then, enter your password. Click the Sign In button. You should now be logged into your account and taken to your My Crafters page. When you're ready to log out, go to the left-hand side of the page and click the Log Out button in the My Account box. When you're logged out, you'll be taken back to the Crafters Companion page. And it's as easy as that.
Many of our viewers bring up time and time again, and that's our wax seal gate.
Thinking, Joe, it might not work as well because I've put too much. Oh, I've forgotten
to put me me thing in place.
Because I have a way of words that I think that doesn't engage with that and can come out all wrong. Water.
That wasn't the one you just washed your brush in, was it?
Sorry. Yes, but it doesn't matter.
No, it wasn't, was it? It was. Are you kidding?
I'm going to have to say, it's a slip of the tongue. I'm going to say it's maybe to do with my Scottish accent. I'm maybe going to say it's because of Mr. Ben Mosby. He is, well, yeah, he doesn't help matters.
I've made pots that have exploded when I fired them. I've done zips in inside out. It happens to everybody.
We've all spilt our glitter all over our project or knocked the water over.
You're right.
I've just noticed I've got my dress on inside out.
So I was messing about doing some backgrounds with the sparkling, took the lid off it and managed to catch the pot somehow, and the whole thing came towards me, down my front, across my lap, onto the floor.
Went to reach for the water and, you know, do the tapping with the and so there was less tapping and more sort of a tsunami. I've got some
always brings a smile to my face, does that video. I love that. Mistress Deo says he loves pretty. There you go. Her husband loves pretty patches on his jeans.
Oh.
I think that's really nice. There you go. Well, I hope he enjoys his jeans when you've finished doing that. Now, I've got something called Dresden cutters. Is that right? It was one of them a Dresden cutter. I've got some template cutters. They're for using with a rotary cutter to cut perfect shapes out. Really interesting. I'm not going to pretend to know how to use them, exactly what they do. I'm going to let our Becky tell you all about that. But they what I can tell you is they are on an amazing deal. They are all half price. So the first one I've got is my hexagon shape cutter, and you can see basically there's half a hexagon and a smaller one small. So absolutely brilliant. And again, an alternative to using your Gemini. There we go. Now, these, as I said, are half price, $9.99 or $12.47. Your platinum price on that is $7.99 or $9.98. So look at 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different sizes of hexagons can be made with that one. So you want me to go through them all there, Nicola, straight away? Yeah, so hexagon is the first one. Details are all on the screen if you want them. And the next one is your 45-degree diamond. There we go. Absolutely perfect on there. We all know you've got different shaped diamonds are going to give you different effects. Exactly the same price, $9.99, $12.47. There you go. And again, you've got 4 different sizes on there. So you've got 5.5, 4.5, 3.5 or 2.5-inch diamonds on there. And you can see it looks like a triangle, but when you open it out, you get the full diamond effect. Now, if that was a 45-degree diamond, you're thinking, well, what happens if I need a 60-degree diamond? We've got you sorted. Here you go. There is the 60-degree diamond again. And they're going to work in the same size, 5.5, 4.5, 3.5, 2.5-inch diamonds. Absolutely brilliant. Same price, platinum price, $7.99, $9.98. All of these are coming in at half price. Now, the next one, yeah, I see where you come. That tumbler shape cutter. I don't know when you'd need a tumbler shape cutter, but I'm sure our Becky will tell me. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lovely pattern design where you use your tumbler. So yeah, you've got your pattern cutter for that. And again, you've got 8.5, 6.5, 4.5 and a 2.5-inch high tumbler. You can see the shape on there. There we go. Absolutely perfect for that. And yeah, exactly the same price, $9.99, $12.47 before your discount. Now, I know this one works. I can understand this one. Circle. We all need circles. And again, it's great to be able to have those large sizes that you might struggle. So again, we're going down from 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 and 4-inch circles. So that is brilliant. Look at that. You're going to get, what was that? That was 6 circles. $9.99, $12.47. if you were to do that with dies, they'd be pretty big and be a lot more than that. So the next one, bit of a strange name, your orange peel. I think of orange, yeah, you think of more orange peel like your cellulite, don't you? It's like, that's a, yeah, attractive thought, but there we go. There we are, your orange peel. I think I can see that. I'm thinking petals. Petals, I like the thought of it as a petal. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Exactly the same price, and you're going to get, again, 6 in there, going from 2.5 right up to 7.5 inch size shapes down there. Orange peel, petals, whichever you want to do. Now, the last one is your Dresden plate shape cutter. And this one is the hardest one, I think, to actually see from the packet, from the cutter rather. You're going to make that shape if you want. Is that the only shape you make, or is it you can make those little triangles and that comes out in a circle? I'm not going to pretend to know what that does. There you go. All I'm going to say is that's the shape you get, and that's the one that our viewer was asking about, and Becky's going to talk to you about today. $7.99, $9.98 if you are platinum. So make sure you pick up the shapes that you want. We've got Dresden, we've got orange peel, circle, tumbler, 60-degree diamond, 45-degree diamond, and hexagon. And it's really easy, all the same price, all half price, and today all $9.99, $12.47 before your Club Inspire discount. So get the ones that you want. And Becky, as I've been going through them, I've been seeing that she's been retrieving lots of things to show you the different shapes.
Yeah, I have. And they're really useful. As you're saying, if they were dies, they'd be really expensive because they're so big. You'd have to have a big machine to get some of those dies through. Historically, you would have cut these with a template, so going around them with a rotary cutter, which is always quite difficult. These are much easier and they're much safer because you've got that little groove to put your rotary cutter inside and then cut through. To show you a few finished samples, so this is one using the orange peel. You can see you've got these different ones here. Now, with all of these shape cutters, you can do half shapes as well, and I'm going to show you how we're going to cut those out in just a moment. So this is your orange peel. Then this is your Dresden plate. I think that this one's really lovely. I love that kind of image. Really simple cushion to make with those little shapes there. But then this is using the Dresden plate as well.
Oh, is it?
Different way of producing it, and it makes beautiful fans.
That's
really
gorgeous.
pretty. So this is, I always think the Dresden plate is one that is my favourite actually. I think it's sort of underutilised. This one with your hexagons. Hexagons are such a key shape in any kind of patchworking. These have just been cut out of some fabric and then appliqued onto a white quilt, which looks really good. And then this is a tumbler. So you were saying about why we'd have tumblers. Tumblers fit in really well together. You can make a really nice design with tumblers. So this is a little child's quilt using tumblers in different fabrics, different patterns. Makes a really nice kind of idea. And then it's nice and straight. So you can use these as sort of panels to go around the edge of a quilt.
I like how that fabric's been placed to pick out the
It's really nice, doesn't it?
Lovely.
So we're going to go with the Dresden one first of all. So when you get yours, on the back, it will give you some information about how to put it together. So this is sort of twofold, really. When you think about the Dresden plate, if I grab the cushion again, you've got these kind of sort of shapes, triangular shapes, I suppose. Triangular shapes? Yeah. Triangular shapes coming out of the side, and you've also got this circle. So you've got the same cutter will do both things. So down here you've got a way of making your circle. So you basically fold your fabric into quarters, and then you put it over and you use that curve to create the circle. But then you've got all of these different shapes to make the different sizes. So you can make something that's up from 1 inch up to 6 inches just with this one piece of kit, really.
Oh, wow.
Now, there's 2 different ways of doing it. So you can, as I said before, you can cut, so you get 2 halves, and you'll stitch them together, or you can cut so you get one whole piece of fabric. And by doing that, we're just going to put things on different placement lines and put the fabric in a slightly different way when we cut it. So we're going to get started. We're going to use a piece of the blue fabric over here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to use the biggest shape because it's easier for you to see. You can see down here, if I put that there, we've got placement line, And then we've got this dotted line. Now the placement line is where you want to put your fold of your fabric. So if you're going to cut a whole piece in one shape, in one colour, you want to put the fold along the placement line. But if you only want to cut one half in one colour and one half in another colour, you're going to put everything on this dotted line. And the reason for that is when we stitch those two pieces together, they will then form that place as if it's on the placement line. To show you what I mean, if I fold this over like that, and I'm going to pop this here, and I'm going to put that on my placement line, if you can see here. Now, these slip slightly, so be careful when you use it. You can use some of our grip spray, which will help you ensure that you don't move anything. I find I use a rotary board, a rotating cutting board when I'm doing this at home, or like I'm going to do now, I'll work on an angle. So what I want to do, I want to keep everything on my placement line, and then I want to use my rotary cutter, and I'm going to cut through here, and I'm going to cut through that little end bit here as well, and up here at the 6-inch mark. Now you'll notice that these sort of grooves that you've got go beyond where you actually want to cut, and the reason for that is to allow your rotary cutter the time to pop itself inside that little space. So we're just going to line this up, hold this, get that in the little space. You can use a smaller rotary cutter. I'm using the largest rotary cutter that we have here to give you an idea. I'm going to pop this around this way. As I say, if I was doing this at home, I would be using a rotating cutting board because it makes everything a little bit easier rather than moving around. There we go. And then we've cut that one piece out perfectly. Now, so that's one whole piece in that one colour because I've used that fold. Now, if I want to have a piece in half colours, so one half one colour and one half another colour, I would want to do it like this. I'm just going to trim this to make sure my edge is nice and straight. I can just use that for the moment. Just line that up along there. Just use the edge of this rather than getting my ruler out. Up. Wondering why I was doing it the wrong way. I'm using my left-handed. I'm using that, and it's left-handed. And I was thinking, oh, this isn't quite the right way. This is one I want to use, which is right-handed. So we're just going to. We've got that nice edge now, and then we want to put our fabric along, not on the placement line, but on that dotted line.
Yeah.
And we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to put everything at a slight angle.
Seam allowance, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I'm going to just move it around. I'm doing everything at an angle because I've not got that rotating cutting board.
I've got some information for you.
Oh.
Dresden plate pattern.
Yeah.
It is named after the town of Dresden in Germany, which became famous in the Victorian era with its fine decoration of porcelain plates with colourful flowers, fruits and foliage. And the Dresden plate quilt pattern was one of the most popular quilts made during the 1920s and 30s. It was first published in the 20s, but not always under the name Dresden plate.
Ah. There you go. So did you ever read Flowers in the Attic? Do you remember that? Those film books from Virginia Andrews. Now they talk about the children are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, very pale-skinned.
Yes.
They called them the Dresden dolls because a lot of the statues or the ornaments they would make from Dresden had this very sort of blonde hair, blue-eyed kind of look to it.
Yeah.
And they would call them the Dresden dolls. See, useless information again.
We've got
Becky.
lots of it, haven't we?
Right, so you've got this one piece here, so that's half of one of these. You can see like that.
Yeah.
So I want to cut another one, but I want to make sure I'm cutting it the right way, obviously, because I want to make sure that I can turn it around this way so I make sure to get it around the right way. So I want that like that, just to make sure I'm getting it right. So I'm going to use that placement line again. So I'm using the dotted line.
Yeah.
I'm going to move everything to a slight angle again, like I said before, and then put my rotary cutter inside those grooves. I'm just holding everything down.
So because you're doing it with two, I was reading, so I wasn't. Did you do one cut from the reverse and one cut from like you're doing now from the top,
basically.
so that you've got them in the right angles?
Yeah, that's right. I just not quite cut that little bit there. There we go. Just trim that a little bit where I hadn't quite got it into place. Now, what I would say is I'm using the largest rotary cutter we have, which is 60 mils. The smaller ones are better if you happen to have those. So you can see here, if I put those pieces together now, like that, and I put that over the top, you can see it doesn't fit, it's not the same. But if I stitch these together, then I iron them out, they will look exactly the same.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to do now.
Lynn Morton says, call me daft. I never thought of people in the UK making or having quilts like this in the UK. My mind only goes back to earlier times in the States. I know, mad ladies. No, it's not. I mean, you just get used to it, don't you? You think, oh, quilting is quite an American thing. But yeah, in the UK, they do it a lot. My mum makes quilts. Yeah, always done. Rosalind Russell says, Becky, I have all the VC Andrews books, Victoria Andrews books. The movies have not done the books any justice.
No.
Very often. There's a lot like that. You know, a lot of books don't. I love that series, fantastic books, says Lynn Morton. There's lots I can think that once I've read the book, I don't want to see the film.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I don't know, there's loads of... I love... Did you ever read The Horse Whisperer?
No, I never read that.
Oh, it was a brilliant book. The film was good, but oh no, the book was even
really
better.
Good.
Really good. That's the one that that was the one that always disappointed me the most, was The Horse Whisperer.
Oh.
Good film,
yeah.
But if you've read the book, it was just even better.
Well, I think that, no, like you say, that is the case. I think the only ones that I think have been good, but I think I could have done better had I been the film producer, were Harry Potter.
Yes.
I think they were quite good.
Yes.
But, you know, and I think that one of the reasons is because they came out so quickly after, you know, the books came out. So you started, you know, you'd already, in your mind's eye, when you're reading the last one, you already saw Daniel Radcliffe as Harry. So you can see now how we're putting those together. So what we would do is we just create more and more of these, like this, and we would fill around the edge to create that Dresden plate, that the whole design of these. And you can stitch them together like this. But actually, the real way they've been created is to work almost like applique. So I would, if I was doing this at home and I wanted to put them onto a cushion or a quilt or something similar, I would iron onto the back some Bonder web, something like this. Onto the back, so it gives like an adhesive, or you can use some of our spray. So we've got our stick and stay spray. You can spray that onto the back and then iron it onto the top of your fabric and then put it in place. And then you just need to stitch around the edge to complete it. So you can see this one here.
So why have they got points on that yours haven't?
So that's just how you can finish them off. So if you wanted to create a point, all I would do is I would do this. I would choose the angle of my point. So you've got all these different angles on your cutting boards and things like that. I would choose the angle of the point I wanted to use, or I'd mark down here. So I'd think, well, actually, I want a point here, but I want to come down by X amount of space. Let's have a quick look. So let's say, well, my point there, point in that piece. So I want that there. I'm going to line that up over here. You can just see there. And then I want my point to be here. So I could then just do this. And then fold that over. Or you could use a curve on there. So you could use a curve, you could use a circle. If you were to, that work? You've got a curve here. So you could, in theory, line that up, make sure it is in the right place, maybe run your halfway mark down here and create a curve there, or cut it by hand, cut it by eye if you wanted to do that. But if you wanted to cut a circle to go in the centre, so say, imagine I've done a whole load of hit these here. They actually match up, they don't match up exactly to the point because you'd have a space in the middle of them where they join up. But if I wanted to cut a circle, she says, looking for a smaller piece of fabric. Let's cut a piece here. So just a small piece of fabric.
Yeah.
And then I want to fold it in half. And then fold it again. So I've got those fold lines here to create that right angle. And then I want to pop that on here, so I'm lining up those right angle folds with the right angle here, and very carefully
Yeah, you're going through 4 layers there.
Yeah, and it's when you use your rotary cutter, you'd want your table to be a little bit lower than it is here, so you've got better purchase on it. And then you fold that out, and then you've got a circle.
Perfect
will fit
circle
into the middle.
Excellent.
Get down, see a little bit better. So that's basically how you would create something like this here. You can see how that's coming together now. These ones have actually been stitched together, which you can absolutely do. And then they've been put onto the cushion and then stitched over the top.
Looks really pretty, really effective, doesn't it?
It does look really effective, and it's quite. I think it's quite a useful thing because we don't have dies to cut Dresden plates. I don't think. Pretty sure we don't have die, and it's quite nice to sometimes not have to use your Gemini. If you're somewhere where perhaps you haven't got the space for it, or perhaps you're away somewhere and you just want to do some handwork, and this is quite good. I would just say a 45mm rotary cutter would be better, or even a smaller one. You can get quite a teeny tiny one. They are a little bit better than using the great big one, but you can see the big one works absolutely fine. I'm just thinking, because you're going through sort of small things, particularly with that circle die, the circle cutter, you definitely need a smaller rotary cutter when you're cutting the small shape. The small circle would be very difficult to do with this large rotary cutter. But that's basically how you use it.
Thank you. Mistress Day says, Dresden plate is one of my favourites. I've done it in various sizes, pointy, curved and flat topped. Now, it's amazing how you can just sort things off, start conversation off. Rachel says, oh, that book made me cry so much. That's about Horse Whisperer. I grew up with horses and we used some of the training methods with them. They work. It was a brilliant book. And then Teresa says, I absolutely loved reading The Horse Whisperer. I thought the film was a very good adaptation, better than some. Oh, I agree with you, Teresa. It was a good film, but it wasn't as good as the book, in my opinion. There we go. Right, okay. Animal appliques. I've lost them. Oh, I found them. There we go. Right, okay. Next thing. Now, these are absolutely gorgeous. And looking at the samples that Becky was showing us earlier, they're actually a lot bigger than I was expecting. Now, you don't have to pick one for this. You're going to get the whole bundle for these. So you're going to get the templates for, does it say, it didn't say a name on there, so it's a fox, clearly. I was trying to say, it just says animal applique. I was trying to see. There. I did warn them. I said, I've got my contact ends in. Look, little tiny letter that says fox. I mean, gives it away there, doesn't it? But there we go. And look at the template. Look at everything. You've got all the different sizes and everything. Now, I'm guessing, from what you said, I am listening, smaller rotary cutter.
No, don't use a rotary cutter for this.
Don't you?
No.
Ooh, okay. Oh, because it's okay, stencil.
Yeah.
Template.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought I was being really clever then. I thought I was getting very clever.
Well, you could use a rotary cutter, but I think actually it's a bit easier with scissors. Yeah.
Okay. The bear, isn't he uber cute? I think that was that right? That was the template that was the bear behind for Becky. It was lovely. Very nice. Spoiled it. But again, look at the different sizes, all the different sizes. Then we've got the rabbit. Again, another uber cute one on there. And you saw these samples that our Becky had. And finally, you've got the deer. I mean, it's just perfect for Christmas, isn't it? Absolutely perfect. Now, if you want all 4 of those today, really, best ever price. You're saving nearly £12 or $16, and you're going to get these today for $27.97 or $36.26. Now, that's coming out at £22.38 or $29.01 if you are in the US. I mean, wow, £5.50, just over nearly £5.60 per template, which is brilliant if you are platinum, and about $7.50 if you are in the US, which is a brilliant price. So what can you tell us about these then, Becky, please?
I'm just getting a couple of samples to show you because I think these are a really good buy. Each one comes in 3 different sizes, which makes them really usable. Now, I thought these would be brilliant if you had a kids' party and you wanted to give them, obviously, the obligatory bag full of sweets for them to take home, but maybe you're going to have them on teams to play a game, and each team had a different teddy bear or different animal on their T-shirt. You could do that really inexpensively. You can, of course, make and sell. So making bags like this, you can make a whole set of bags, toiletry bags with animals in them. I think, you know, if you were going to be maybe using some children's school uniform fabric for the scarves or the clothes or something like that, giving them as leaving presents. Lots and lots of ways you could use these. So that is using it as an applique for a bag.
You could do the bear. You could do the bear with different coloured scarves for different people, couldn't you?
Yeah,
that would
absolutely.
be lovely.
But then this, which I can't even pick up because it's so big. Look at this. It's got a little baby one. So you've got all the different sizes. Little table runner, a window hanger. Wall hanging, with a mummy, a daddy and babies on there, which I think is really cute. So really usable, and again, something you don't need to use your Gemini for, because sometimes you don't want to use your Gemini, you can't use your Gemini, you know, so I like to give you a few different options. Now, what I've got here are all the different sizes, so you can properly see what you're going to be getting in each one. So the first one is your deer.
Oh, look.
So look, all of those. I mean, this... Yeah, toiletry bag, T-shirt. Look, why wouldn't you buy, you know, lots of people like to have the same clothes for Christmas morning or Christmas. You could buy a plain T-shirt, you can applique all these different ones on there. Yeah, really easy to use. Very simple, using up all your scraps of your fabric. It makes it really, really easy. So there's your different deer. And obviously you can make them as ordinary deer if you didn't put their red noses on. And then you've got your rabbits.
That's cute, showing the different ways you can do it with different types of fabric.
Really nice, lovely idea here. And then we've got the fox. What does the fox say? Corinne, do you not know what the fox says?
I do. Yeah,
she's not playing the game, is she? I'm going to make her say that word in a minute, that phrase.
What does the fox for?
This.
No, we're not doing that. It's a fabric show.
Doesn't matter, it's always very useful. So you've got your foxes here. Again, really, really cute. And look at the way they've been stitched together. So these ones have been stitched all by machine. You can absolutely do them by hand. This one has been blanket stitched around the outside. This one, it's been free motion machine embroidered over the outside. Can you see it's like a wiggly kind of line on it? It makes it look like a slightly nervous fox.
He does look a little bit more nervous, doesn't he?
But I love the fact that you're able to do these different things with these different items. And then this one here is your bear. Again, you've got some blankets stitched by machine on here. This one's just done some ordinary straight stitching. So lots of different options you can do with these, which I think is really good. So I'm going to make a bear. This is what you're going to be getting when you get your package home. So you're going to be getting your template, really comprehensive template. Sorry, mine's got a little bit of tailor's chalk all over it. So we've got our mark away spray, which is the sprayable tailor's chalk, so I'd use that on there. So if you're using dark fabric, that would be what you want to use. Just if you're going to be using plain or light coloured fabric, you're just going to use your heat erasable pens in here. So you can see you've got all of the different things have been marked out, so you can see the different faces and sizes and noses and all those sorts of things. And there's obviously 3 sizes, small, medium and large, so you just need to follow the way round. When you've got this shape here, that means you have to fold your fabric. So that's for your bare body, the body of your bear, not your bare body. You can see here we're going to fold the fabric, and then we would put the fold along this line here, and then cut this because obviously it's going to be the same on both sides. And then you have your recipe book. How to make a bear, and it also talks about how to do applique. If you've never done applique before, you will get addicted to it because it's really, really easy. This is raw edged applique, not needle turned applique. Now the difference in those two is I find needle turned applique quite difficult personally. So if, say this is a piece of applique that you're working on, and we'll have that here. Raw edged applique, you just cut the fabric, and you've got this kind of raw edge to it, and you would stick it to wherever you wanted it to go. And then you would just finish off that edge. So you saw with the other samples, we've done blanket stitch, or there's just been running stitch, or we've used we've done free motion machine embroidery just to fix it together. If you wanted to do needle turned applique, you basically stitch by hand and you fold over a tiny amount, a real scant amount
or
underneath.
over the top?
Underneath. So if I fold this with my finger, you can see how tiny I'm talking about. So you basically fold it over and then you stitch. But if I open that out, you can see that is a teeny tiny amount that you're using. So it requires good eyesight or good stitching, good light. You'll just be folding that over and stitching that together. So you can absolutely make these with needle turned applique, but more or less we're talking about raw edged applique. It's a little bit easier to do. Needle turned applique is something that you sort of move up to over time. And it tells you the different types of stitching you can use on here about how to put it all together. So it gives you all that options, and you'll see from here how we're going to build a bear. So we're going to start by getting his body together. So I'm going to look for my fabric. I've got some nice cream coloured fabric, which I thought I'd use for his body.
Nice.
I've also got a little bit of floral fabric, which I was going to use for the little bits and pieces that are dark coloured here. And then I had some bright green, which I was going to use for his scarf. But this is a great way of using up all those little scraps of fabric that we all have hanging around the place. And, you know, absolutely make them into Christmassy bears, have Christmassy fabric. You can absolutely do that. So I'm just going to give this a quick press.
Rosalind thinks that these are absolutely adorable. They are, they really are. And it's, you know, we can only just scratch at the surface of the things that you could be doing with them. You know, we've talked about bags, we've talked about stockings, Christmas pyjama type things, you know, T-shirts. I can imagine you could do felt onto sweatshirts, would look lovely. There is so much you could be doing with these, and we can only, like I say, really scratch at the surface of all of the options. Once you get these home, I just think you're going to be using them and using them. They're so much fun.
There definitely is a lot of options with these, and I think for that price, with you're getting all of them,
for all four,
really good. So we've got a little bit of a. I keep picking that thing up and dropping it on the floor. So I've given this an iron, and then I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to place that fold there, and I'm going to use my heat erasable pen, and I'll mark through here. So you could use your rotary cutter if you wanted to do this.
Could you imagine doing like a baby or a small child, and you could do a panel along the bottom of the curtains,
oh,
and then
be
a panel
nice.
along the quilt, or like a little quilt runner type thing across the bottom of the bed? It'd look lovely, wouldn't it? And
that'd be a great idea.
Put a cushion on the chair if you've got a chair in, you know, like a feeding chair in the room. Think of loads of ways you could use them.
That'd be a great option. So if you've not seen the heat erasable pens before, guess what they do?
Do they erase?
They erase with
heat.
Yay! So I find these invaluable. I find them really useful, and actually I use them for paper craft as well.
Do you know, I keep meaning to order a set. Every time I put an order in, it's like, oh, I must order some heat erasable, especially now we've got like our template library and things like that. They are just going to be invaluable.
They're really useful because they'll just disappear. Just waft your heat tool over the top of them, they'll disappear, or your hairdryer, if you haven't got a heat tool, that will work.
I take it they don't require a lot of heat?
No, not at all. Nothing at all. I mean, obviously with an iron, they disappear immediately, but I just think they're really useful generally. So
do you always remove them if you've been able to draw on the reverse?
Not really, but I think it's good practice to use your heat erasable pens all the time.
Yeah.
So you don't go down the route of picking up a.
So when you iron that flat now, basically it'll erase it.
Yeah.
Won't it?
So if I just did. Can you see that?
Just about.
I've disappeared.
Wow, that's so clever, isn't it?
Yeah, really clever. So we've got our body of a bear. And then we're going to choose this fabric here. We're going to work on the face. We use a reverse on here. So my face size is here. So you can see I'm just using up all my scraps of fabric, which I think is quite a useful thing to do. Otherwise, you just end up being overrun by bits of fabric.
And anybody that's a sewer will have lots of bits of fabric. I think it's the same, you know, as a paper crafter, I have my bit box, and as a sewer, they have their bit box. The only difference is theirs is fabric bits and rather than paper. And if you do both...
I find, sometimes I find looking at fabric quite, it's almost like a little journey you go travelling on. So I've got some fabric that my mum used, just making sure I've got that line correctly. She used for she made a costume for an ice skater, quite a famous ice skater. He was on the first, he was one of the judges on Dancing on Ice in the first year. He's not on it anymore, but he was married to, I can't remember her name, the woman who's the head coach.
Oh, yes.
My mum made this amazing costume. So this would have been like 1983, and he danced with some dummies. He basically had these dummies that were, mark that out very well, Becky.
Yeah, it looks right.
Got that there. He danced with some 5 dolls which were attached to him like dummies, and he sort of skated with them, and they were all wearing this pink and purple glittery fabric. And I remember my mum saying to me the fabric was £300 a metre in like 1983, and there was a little bit left over, so I got it. But I mean a tiny amount, but it's, you know, probably a piece about that big, and I still have it.
Do you?
Yeah, because it has memory for me. And I think, you know, when people have shirts and things like that that belonged to perhaps someone that's no longer with them, all those sorts of things, it's quite nice to have something like that. I'm just going to do his ears now. So I'm going to use the ear shape.
I've said this before. When I was very young, my mum and dad didn't have a lot of money. My mum made all my clothes.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. She made her, because my grandmother was a seamstress by trade, very, very good sewer. And I used to, with all the smocking across the front and all the beautiful little dresses. But out of all the scraps, I used to make dresses for my tiny tears.
Oh, that's lovely.
So
I
they
like
were
that
like
idea.
different styles, because they were tiny tears and mine were mine, but they were in the same fabric. And I used to love that.
Yeah, that's
I had
nice.
dresses to match my tiny tears.
I used to wear a lot of dresses with matching knickers when I was a child, small child. You know, that was quite fashionable.
Not when you were, not for your 40th birthday.
Well, I don't know. Actually, what I want to do, I want to use some Bonder Web on this for the small pieces because they're just easier. I'm going to use some of our spray adhesive for the larger pieces, but for the smaller pieces, I'm going to use some Bonder Web to show the 2 different options. So Bonder Web is a kind of paper. It's an adhesive paper, basically. It's got a glue in a sheet, and then it has a piece of greaseproof paper over the top of it.
You can feel it, can't you?
Pardon?
You can feel the texture, can't you?
Yeah, the idea is that you would cut your piece of this, like that, and then you can feel one side is paperish and one side is slightly rough where it's got the glue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it on here and I'm going to iron it onto here, which basically you're ironing on the top of the greaseproof paper part.
Melting the glue?
Yeah. It doesn't need a lot of heat, and then that's then adhered here. And then you would draw out onto the paper piece. So I'm going to use that again, and then cut it out. And then what we do is when you're ready to place it onto your item, you peel off this backing paper. So basically you're just left with fabric with a thin layer of glue over the top. You flip it over and then you iron it again, and that then glue will then sandwich everything together. But for this, you definitely don't want to use your heat erasable pen. You want to use a pencil or a pen, of which...
Good luck.
Where do they go?
I don't know. Do you want a pen?
Have you got a pen over there?
I've got a pen.
Oh, fab.
Yeah.
They just get swallowed up, don't they?
They do.
Thank you very much. So here we're going to mark this one, like that. And then we'll flip it over, because obviously we want the ears going different ways. And then we're going to cut those out. On the edge, like that. And so this would be an option of doing adhering everything if you don't want to use our glue, our spray glue, which I will use in just a moment. So we would just peel off the backing. So if I just fold it over a little bit, and you want to make sure it's cooled down, so don't try and do it immediately because obviously the glue is then going to be sticky. Just fold that over. And you peel off that grease-proof backing. You do it live on air because it's really good TV. Okay, like that. And then pop it where you want his ear to be. And do the same with this one. If you find it difficult, you can use a pin and just put the pin through the paper backing. That sometimes works. Okay, it's a little bit better. So now you've got a layer of fabric with it doesn't feel tacky, but it feels almost sort of plasticky where your glue is. And then if I use my iron, over there.
Perfect.
Then that will adhere. And those ears are stuck then. So this one we want to use some of our spray glue, which I'll get in just a moment, but we're going to cut the other pieces out. And again, with the snout, I'm going to choose, where is that piece of fabric? There it is, down here. I'm going to use a little piece of pink. And then I'm going to put a bit of the Bonder web on the back of that as well. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a piece the right size. You don't want to waste any.
Just cut all your little bits out of your Bonder web.
Yeah. So we want your snout's going to be here. It's just the right size.
Wow, you did that well.
I did just the right size. Again, you've got the paper part. Pop it on there.
Can you iron felt just as easily as everything
else?
else?
No, felt's difficult because felt is generally acrylic based, it's plastic. You've got to be really, really careful with felt. I would say if you're going to be, you need to put a cover over the top, you need like a pressing cloth, and be really careful. I would use a little amount of heat and just spend a little bit of time working on it. Around there, and cut around here.
Oh, I wait quiet then. I was reading a comment. I had a comment from Emma Bailey. She says, "Hi Corrine and Becky, I've collected all my children's life fabrics, PE kit, school uniform, baby clothes, etc. Now my son is 18. I plan to cut all of his into patches and sew him a huge blanket of his 18 years. Something very special about keeping important fabric."
That's lovely.
Yeah.
What a great thing to have done. How organised are you?
Yeah, no. People do memory bears and things, don't they now, which is very similar. Patty Talbot says, "You could stuff the bear, cut 2 of the same size pieces, sew them together."
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're going to pop that there. So I've just, again done the same thing. Now this one I haven't sprayed yet, but that would be my nose, well not my nose, but his nose. And then we don't want to do the scarf.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm going to use some of the Bonder web for the scarf, so you can see. So again, we want to make sure. So with a scarf, you're going to be cutting this piece as a whole, but you also want to cut this piece as well. So you want your Bonder web or your piece of fabric to be a little bit bigger. So we would want it to, I think that's not quite the right size. If I cut it there.
Oh, that's a lovely idea, isn't it? Saving all fabrics that mean things. And
that's a brilliant idea. If you can be as organised as that, that is a great thing to do. My dad wore particular type of shirts. When he passed away, my mum kept a couple of them. Because the plan was to make sort of a cushion or something like that. But actually, she's always felt she can't. She's never been able to cut them up. Wanted to keep them, but I think that's a nice thing to do. But particularly with children, their school uniforms and things like that. Yeah, I made dolls for when my children left. They're like doorstops. Yeah, wearing the school uniform, and that's what I gave to the head teacher and the deputy head. Nice. So it was quite, when my children started at the school, it had only been running for like 3 years, so it was all quite new. So something a little bit different for them.
Yeah.
Right,
nice
so
thing to do.
again, I'm going to be doing this. Find that.
And I love how the templates overlap.
Yeah.
Works, you know, like you say, everything has been, you know, as effective, cost effective as possible.
Yeah. Which is sensible, really, because the last thing, you know, you don't want to be paying over the odds
And
for
it's
something.
storage as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it becomes unwieldy, doesn't it? If it's too big.
It absolutely does. So we're going to cut round here. So this could be done with your rotary cutter if you wanted to, but there aren't many straight sides, and I always think that unless you're cutting straight sides, I think a pair of scissors is generally the way to go.
Works so easy, isn't it? When you've got all the lines there ready. Makes it a bit easier with that Bondo web on as well, I think, to cut, because the fabric stays
quite stiff,
rigid.
Yeah, which is useful. It is something that I use a lot of adhesives, and as I say, you know, when we show you later on in the show, or later on shows, I'm going to be using some adhesives for you know, putting zips in and things like that, because I'm inherently lazy. I think that's the long and the short of it.
I think
I'm not going to make any qualms about it.
If there's an easy way and a complicated way, why would we choose to do it the complicated way? I don't see the point. Ooh,
bit of water there. So I'm just using this little piece of fabric as a backing on here. So I'm not making a cushion or anything in particular. I'm just going to show you how to use this.
Betty Weaver says, I brought home 2 shirts, one of Mum's and one of Dad's. I hope to make pillow covers from them.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice, isn't
yeah.
it? That's
In
very
fact,
nice.
I do some work for a charity, and one of the people that I work with at the charity has been asked to make cushions out of people's shirts. You know, someone's husband has passed away, and they wanted to have a cushion, so actually they could give them a hug, which I thought was a really nice idea, something to do. I've never made one myself, but I think it's a good idea. So right here, I want to use my stick and stay spray.
Right.
So this one is your permanent adhesive. So it means that once we iron it, it is going to stay put. So I'm going to use that here. Go on the back. I'm going to just get a couple more sheets here because I don't want to get the glue everywhere.
That's the voice of experience.
I have to say, if I do this at home, I take it in the garden, and I do it in the garden, so it goes all over the grass rather than all over my table.
Yep. Does Tim say, why is the grass all sticky?
He said you've been fiddling around with fabric again, haven't you? There you go. So we've got a spray glue over the top. Now I just want to lift that over here.
You don't need too much at all, do you?
No, not at all. I'm going to pop that in place. And you can use a pressing mat if you want to. I'm just going to be a bit careful.
Does that seal the glue?
So yeah, that basically melts the glue.
Right.
Just the same way as we were using that Bondo web.
Ah, right, yeah.
It looks in exactly the same way. There you go, stuck.
So with the stick and stay, is that right?
Stick and stay, yep.
Yeah. Is it sticky when you first sprayed it or not?
No, so if I touch it now, you've got a little bit of sticky, got a little bit
right.
there. It's not sticky now, it's just where when you sort of activate it with heat.
All right, okay.
So I don't want to get it all over my nails though, because it's a nightmare to get rid of. So I'm just going to couple of bits of spray here. So it's nice to have a few different options of the way to do it. I don't think you can get this in the US. Am I right in saying that? Not entirely good. Or if there's a US warehouse, you can do, possibly HSM might have it as well. But then it's nice to have a couple of options. So that one, the nose, the snout, I'd already put some Bondo web on the back of that. So I can pop that there. But before I put glue everything down, I'm just going to make sure I've got my scarf where I want it to be. Oh, that was silly. Need to do it that way, didn't I? Never mind, I'm going to put it like that, underneath, like so. So I'm going to peel off the pieces here. Now my mum is using Bonder Web. She makes sure that there's a join in the middle, so it makes it easier to pull apart.
Right.
Which I haven't done. So, Mum.
What do you mean by a join? Two pieces?
Yeah, she would have one piece there, one piece there.
All right.
She would deliberately make a join in between the two to make it easier to pull apart. But I haven't done that. I'm just going to put my pin through the paper backing down here. Or you can just fold over the edges, you know, a bit like you do with double-sided sticky tape. I'm just going to peel that off. Once you get it started, it's fine. You do need to make sure it's cooled down, so don't do it immediately after you've sort of ironed it on, because it will all be still sticky.
Yes.
You see that comes off okay. And then this one I have got a join here. So you can see here, it'll be a little bit easier, she says. Why did I say that? Okay. And then that bit there. Okay.
So does that feel a bit tacky rather than sticky?
It feels plasticky, would be how I would describe it. It feels a bit plasticky. So we're going to pop that there, and then we want that piece to go underneath. Maybe it needs to be a little bit higher, like that. And there's nothing to stop you from cutting other shapes out. You know, maybe you want him to have antlers, because you want him to look like he's a Christmassy kind of bear. So he's got those antlers from the antler deer, and that's an option you can certainly do. So you've got those pieces there. And then you want to create some little eyes. So what have I got that I can use for eyes? Eye. If I cut something really small, really tiny, like a small circle. So we've got circles here for the eyes. They really are wee. If you have some dies, tiny circular dies, so if you bought some of those Applique animal dies that we had, they've got some small eyes that work really well. But if you don't, and you want to cut them out, so you're going to use those templates. Let's do that. We definitely want some Bonder Web on the back of that, because they're going to be tricky to spray and glue together.
Yeah.
So let's just do that.
And with picking up your dark green, it's going to make life a lot easier to see your pens as well.
Yeah. And what I would do is I tend to use a pair of tweezers when I'm cutting something that small.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because it makes it easier. I've got big fat fingers. I've got like sausage fingers, and it's quite difficult to cut round. I love the fact that nobody's saying, no, Becky, you haven't got sausage fingers.
I'm forced to say, no, you know, I know exactly how you feel. I do a lot of my detail work with tweezers, always.
So I would hold those, and then it just makes it easier.
That's why it's nice to have a long nose pair of scissors, isn't it? Because you can just go round in a loop. So it's easier with a pair of tweezers. So if I did them with my big fat fingers, my fingers sort of get in the way a little bit. It's not so bad with this big piece, these big circles. But when you're doing those really teeny ones, look how small they are. They are really small. You class that as a big circle.
Well, yeah, you know, big circle for eyes, but it just seems easier if you can use your tweezers. And you know, we all tend to have tweezers somewhere. They might not be where you expect them to be. They might be in your daughter's bedroom because she's pinched them, but we do have tweezers everywhere. And again, I'll just use that little pin to tear that little piece of paper at the back.
Rosalind says, when she's not working on a specific project, these shows inspire ideas for items I already have as a starting point. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
Very glad to
It is always really nice when people enjoy the show, or, you know, there've been quite a few messages from people saying that they've started, you know, that they've been thinking about doing but sewing now, or getting out their sewing machines and that sort of thing. So I do a Facebook Live every Wednesday. I obviously didn't do one last week because I was here. But we've been doing builder blocks the last few weeks.
Oh yeah.
But I had a rude visitor last time I was doing my Facebook Live. I went to start sewing, and a spider jumped out of my sewing machine.
Oh no.
And it was very difficult for me not to say the words that I really wanted to say. Because We were talking in the house last night.
We were.
When Michelle and Corrine came to the house without chocolate, I'm just going to say.
There was chocolate in the fridge.
There was chocolate in the fridge, but I couldn't take it because it didn't belong to me. But they didn't bring me chocolate, despite the fact they'd been eating chocolate.
I tried to bring you
all
chocolate,
day.
but I had a row with the man in the garage.
And Corrine was saying she's all right with spiders, aren't you?
Yeah, don't
But
bother me.
Michelle isn't. And last time Michelle was up here, I hid some glue sticks in Michelle's shoes. Because Michelle always shakes out her shoes before she puts them on to make sure there are no spiders, and she said it really made her jump.
And now Nicola says you wonder why they didn't bring you chocolate. How do you feel about mice in your wellies?
Again, I mean, wouldn't choose to have them in my wellies, but I'm not that bothered. I had
to be honest. In my wellies.
Did you?
Yeah, and it was a really snowy morning, and I needed to put my wellies on.
Yeah.
And yeah, the inside looked like a big mouse nest.
Oh, so
I had to shake it out and clean it out before I could put my wellies on.
So we had our next door neighbours had some mice that they had.
They were in the shed. They weren't in the house.
Oh, that's not so bad. So they had mice in their house.
No, this is definitely in the shed.
My neighbour came over. And she said, it was late night, and she said, well, could I have some toast? And I was like, yeah, of course. And I went to get her some toast, put the toaster on, and there was this thing that just leapt out the toaster. That was horrible. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I was mortified. You know, someone comes over to your house and, you know, you're electrocuting animals in front of them. And she was like, oh, it's probably the mouse from our house. We've got loads of mice. And I was like, oh. And we all live in terrace houses. And I was like, well, I'm going to blame you then. It's not my mouse, it's your mouse. It's come into my house.
I remember going running with a friend, and she was petrified of mice, and it was dark, and we were running along the road, and all of a sudden Shelley shot off into the distance. I was like, wow, I've never seen her run that fast. And she was going down the road going, a mouse, a mouse.
Oh, that's not good.
I thought, right, I've now got a new training tactic from a friend.
That's probably a good idea.
It was so funny.
Right, I'm just going to draw this on here. Now I would put this with my heat erasable pen normally, and I would embroider his little smile. But
too cute.
He's quite cute. Got little eyelashes. There you go. So there you got your little bear. Well, not little bear. This is the big bear. Obviously, I'm using all sorts of different fabrics. This is a great way of using up your scraps, but you can make them for all sorts of different sort of festive moments and key moments in your lives. And you get those 3 different sizes in that pack. So it makes it really worthwhile value, really, I think.
That was really relatively, I mean, yeah, I know Becky did it, but that was really easy to put together, wasn't it? And it just shows you how you don't need huge, copious amounts of fabric to be able to make these. So yeah, I hope it's inspired a few of you, a bit like it did with our Rosalind, who, you know, getting inspiration from these and thinking about how you can use them maybe on cushions, on clothes, on bags. Using favourite little bits of fabric, making them personal to people was really good. Rachel said, my son once had a mouse in his welly. He put his hand in there and it bit him. No, the mouse had disappeared out of my welly when I got to my wellies, so I was all right. Yes, that was all right.
Did you disturb the mouse?
I don't know. It had been in my welly.
Oh, so the mouse has gone out. No, it was at Christmas time. It was winter.
It was winter.
Winter, gone out to see its mates, come back. Where's my house gone?
I know.
You made that poor mouse homeless.
It's
mouse
certainly
without a house.
I don't have any compunction about that at all. I don't mind. Good morning, everyone, says Paul Print ×4. I hope this Monday finds everyone well. Spiders are not my favourite subject with my morning coffee. Sorry, we'll stop about spiders then. Sorry. OK, we're going to have a quick little video. Give Becky time to clear up all the bits on her desk, because there is quite a bit of bits on her desk. We'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes, and we'll round up the show.
We get to know people from places and walks of life that we wouldn't come across in our everyday life if it wasn't for Crafters TV and doing what we do.
I got so many lovely comments from people when I started doing the presenting, and it was just really such a lovely feeling. And it's nice that people keep messaging in. You know, we see the same people. We know you can build up that kind of relationship with those people. So it's just the fact that people like what we do and they're pleased. And I do love it when people send us photographs of the items that they've made.
We talk about customers, but really They go in as a customer, come out as a friend. The support that I get is amazing. The messages I get are amazing.
Me personally, it is personal interaction. I've never had the best of health. I've always been open about that with our viewers at Crafters TV. So many people are in the same situation as me health-wise. Other people have got a completely different health issues. They understand and they relate to what I'm going through, what others are going through. So whether we interact on a crafting basis or whether we interact on a health basis, a personal basis, we're all there to support one another. It is incredible.
The reaction of viewers when they come to meet us is worth all of the early mornings when we have to get up for our early morning shows.
Some of the customers come on as craft ambassadors and things like that, craft along with us, and being able to actually chat with them on air. I love it. I really love that connection with them.
We've had lots of shows where we've done like craft alongs, especially where we've had viewers craft along with us. We had a particular viewer, Joy, who joined us once before, and she literally made me cry on air, and Joe, because the things she said about us, it really was quite humbling that there are people out there that watch us and invite us into their living rooms and really treat us like family.
Hi, I'm Ben from Crafters TV. As you may know, we've just launched an amazing new website, our new home of papercraft to house all of your crafty needs. And as we've had a bit of a makeover, I'm here today to help you add those crafty goodies to your basket and check out. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. First, head on over to the Crafters Companion homepage. Select the correct geographical location at the top of the page. Next, log into your My Crafters account. Explore the site and products using the navigation bar at the top of the screen. When you find the product you want, add to your basket by clicking the Add to Basket button. You'll then have the option to view your basket or continue shopping. If you want to check out, click View Your Basket. Here you can see the list of items you've added along with the order summary on the right-hand side of the screen. This is also where you'll see your loyalty discount. And just remember, the price you're seeing at this stage is excluding any delivery charges. This will also be your opportunity to add any discount codes you may have. Simply type in the code, hit apply, and if your code is valid, you should see the correct amount of discount deducted from your order total. Once you're happy to go ahead with your order, click the Proceed to Checkout button in the summary box on the right-hand side of your screen. If you want to use ShopPay, PayPal or Google Pay, you can select the relevant option under Express Checkout and you'll be given instructions on how to check out. If you have a gift card, you can enter the code on the right-hand side of the screen and press Apply. You should see the correct amount of discount deducted from your total. If you'd like to pay by card, the details linked to your account should appear in the relevant fields. If these aren't showing, you'll need to fill out the correct details. When you've entered your payment information, click the Continue to Shipping button at the bottom of the screen. Select your preferred shipping option, click Continue to Payment. Here you can enter your card details or select ShopPay, PayPal or ClearPay. Next, make sure the correct billing address is entered under the billing address section, or if this is the same as your shipping address, then you'll have the option to select it. Click Pay Now, and that's it. You'll be taken to a thank you page with an order number, and you'll also receive a confirmation email with the details of your crafty purchase, which will be on its way to you very soon.
That was very comprehensive, wasn't it? Thank you, Ben. Okay, Andrea Floyd has just messaged in. She says, Becky, I just cheat and use googly eyes.
Yeah, good idea. Googly eyes, a good way to go.
Yeah.
I would think I was saying the other day, where I live, my local post box has got googly eyes.
Okay.
So someone just goes around and puts googly eyes on all sorts of things.
Fair enough.
Why not?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Why
lampposts,
not? Why not indeed? Okay, now we are going to go right back to where we started, right at the beginning, to our sentiment dies. These are our multi-craft sentiment cut and stitch dies. You're going to get these dies and a bundle of felt. I've not got the felt here, but you will get a bundle of felt as well. You're going to get a total of 33 dies. So you've got a lot. Now they are actually larger than I realised. I think it wasn't until Becky got a couple of samples out. I looked at the packet and said, oh yeah, they're okay. But actually when you get to them and you look at them, they're a lot bigger. I love the sentiment with that stitching through it that you can embroider through it. As Becky said, she'll go through it again. It's quite a big hole, so you can put quite a lot of thread through there. And then you've got the flowers or the foliage or whatever it is to go with them, the butterflies. Absolutely gorgeous. As I said, multi-craft mixed media dies as well. So all 3 packs plus your bundle of felt, £50, $70. But if you're platinum, we like that price even better, £40 or $56. So I think our Becky's going to show us how to use these.
I am. Right, still not quite cleared up my detritus that's around. The one I'm going to look at is your hello. The hello one. So it's got these all mix and match together really well. So every one of these has got butterflies, or it's got flowers. It's got something extra in there. It's not just the die like this. So you've got this one, which is hello. Now with these dies, you've got this kind of matte layer piece, and you've got this other one that goes in, and this has got all these little perforations in it, which is what creates the all those little tiny holes for you to stitch through. Now the great thing about this is you can use this in different ways. So you could just use this into your fabric, so you could be creating a bag, for example, and right into the fabric you're just going to cut out all those little perforations and then stitch through afterwards. Or you can cut them out of another piece of fabric or felt and use these 2 dies together, so you cut that outer shape as well as all of those little holes, and then use it to decorate whatever you're doing. And of course, because these are multimedia dies, they're copper coloured, they are able to cut through multiple layers of fabric if you wanted to do them that way. However, if you're going to be using this one, I would still suggest you only cut through 1 layer at a time, possibly 2. You wouldn't be able to cut through too many because you've got lots of those perforations there. But if you wanted to cut this out, you could cut out of lots of pieces of fabric. You can absolutely do that. But you can also use these for card and paper craft as well. So I like that, the fact that you can use them for both things. Now with these, generally speaking, when I'm doing when I'm doing fabric, I will use my fabric plates. However, I prefer, when I'm cutting felt, to use the plates that you would get through with your normal machine. So I'm going to be cutting these out using my 2 outer plates, my metal shim and my plastic shim. I find it cuts through felt better. But you do what works for you. That's my personal opinion. So I'm going to get my 2 plates, which I might use.
Have you got a lot under your table today, Becky?
There's a lot of plates actually down here. I'm going to use the small ones actually. I'm going to use the juniors.
Why
not? Just for fun, just to mix it up a little bit. So I want those 2 outer plates. I want that frosted sort of clear shim, and I want that metal shim as well.
So you swapped your magnetic out for your metal.
Yeah. I never use my magnetic shim for, when I'm doing fabric. It's never something that I would end up using. I always use it this way. But I use my fabric plates a lot, and I use my fabric plates for paper craft because I'm too lazy to go and get my other plates. So I'm going to cut that there. So I want to cut 2 out of the pink. So I always cut 2 at a time when I'm doing these, because they are your multimedia dies. I'll pop that in there. I find it's easier to place those dies together and then tape them together before you put them onto the fabric.
Yeah.
It just means that everything's in place straight away.
I think I saw you do that, and I tried that. So it was quite a handy tip.
It's funny how we all use things in a different way, don't we? So I wouldn't know, if you were doing paper craft, all the rest of the craft experts would do that and then put it through the machine. I can't do that. I have to do that. I have to make sure it's completely secure, like that. That's just how I am. It's how I roll. So we've got our white outer plate. We've got our metal shim, we've got our fabric with the dye facing downwards, we've got our frosted shim over the top, and then we've got our white plate over the top of that. But I want to run it through the machine twice because of all those perforations. It's not that the machine doesn't cut them out, it's the fact that felt is very, very fibrous.
It is.
And you need to make sure that you've got all those perforations out, so it's going to go through now. But we're also going to run them through without just cutting them through, so not using the outer dye, so you can see how they are. So I'm going to put that through again. Sorry, confusing everybody by doing it again. So we're going to use another piece of, a couple of pieces of felt, and we're going to cut through them. So let's have a look, see how that's done. Is that okay? I think it is.
When you've taken off your 600 pieces of sticky tape.
Better to be safe than sorry.
It is.
So I was lazy once and I did not tape down my fabric and my dyes slipped and I ended up ruining 2 dyes out of my Builder Book series.
No, that's not good.
No. Not
Yeah,
good
the
at
only
all.
time you are likely to ruin dyes is if you don't take them down, they slip over each other inside the machine and then they squash because the pressure is so strong.
So we've got these here. So we've got 2. Now, if I pull them apart, invariably happens is one of them loses most of the little perforations and they get stuck in the other. This is when you want to use your pokey tool just to make sure you've got rid of them all. You can see they're all coming out perfectly well, but you just want to make sure that they've all cut really nicely. So I'm just going to make sure I've got all of those out, and then we can pop them onto our fabric and start stitching through them. So you can see they've got those ones there, and then that one just needs a little bit more enticing to get all of those little perforations out, but again it is cut through those absolutely fine, so you've now got 2, which I think is easier doing 2 at the same time. So I'll put that to one side. Now if we wanted to use a piece of fabric, let's say we're going to use some felt again, because I do know it's nice to use a bit of felt, and the felt is what you're going to be getting in the bundle. The felt is much thicker than felt that you may have seen before, so we did some flower dyes, and they had quite a soft felt. This is quite rigid. It's rigid particularly because that's what we want. We want it to be rigid because we want it to hold those perforations. We don't want kind of floppy felts for this one. So I'm taking all those little pieces out here and I'm going to pop that over the top there. So I'm not going to use that outer dye. I'm just going to pop that here. And then again run through the machine. So we want to use the same dye, and we're going to run it through, same sandwich, we're going to run it through twice again.
I thought you had a paper sample where they'd used like a matte and layer, and they'd cut the matte layer on the top using the outer dye, and they'd done the sentiment straight into the bottom. I thought that looked really effective.
And it's something a bit different, isn't it? I think if you had somebody who you were sending a card to who was really into sewing, this is like a hybrid kind of thing. It's almost sort of you acknowledging what their favourite thing is, whilst you're doing your thing with your paper crafting. And I like that. I like something you can use in multiple different ways. So again, we'll do it the same sort of way. Put that there. You can best see it a bit better.
Oh yes, you can see that.
So we've got a few here. But then we're cutting that into the fabric or into the paper or card that you might be using. We're just going to knock those through. But definitely worth putting it through the Gemini twice,
Can you imagine
just to ensure.
A little, I don't know, people don't use them, but doing like a little handkerchief or a little scrap and doing the friends and stuff on the
that'd
corner,
be nice, yeah.
and then stitching it on. That would look so pretty, wouldn't it?
It would do. It would be quite a nice thing to have.
Or, a little gift bag, little bag you could do it on and cut it into the bag that you're stitching.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. So you can see now, you can see all that hello that you want to use. Now, if what we will do is I will pop this, just want a bit of fabric. So I'm going to use one of my hoops and I want a piece of fabric to put on there. Becky, why can you not see your fabric? There it is. Honestly, as Corrine says, it's just devastation around by my desk when I'm in. It's I'm a terribly messy crafter.
I think a lot of us are messy crafters, but it's how it finishes, that's the main thing.
Yeah. So we've got a piece of cotton fabric here, and I'm going to pop that on my hoop. You can do this without a hoop, it just makes it a little bit easier if you've got one. So we want to place that over the top.
Is this staying on your hoop, or is this a working hoop?
I have many hoops all around the house. So yeah, this I'd use them quite often actually. It's,
but what I mean is, is it the finished project staying in the hoop, or will you take it out?
Could do. You can absolutely do that. It works really well. And in fact, on the packaging, all of the samples have been created like a decorative piece. So yeah, you can do it like that. I'm just going to get that, pull that through, get that nice and tight. The idea is it should be. I probably tightened it too much. Tight like a drum. Who'd have thought this bit that I'm having most trouble with? Loosen that up a little bit. I've just tightened it too much. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. I can never quite get it around the right way. There you go. It's because I don't know my left and my right. That's the problem. And then just pull it to make it nice and taut. And then you should be tight like a drum.
Yep.
Then we would pop that on here. And I would put a couple of pins in it just to secure it in place. And that one over here. And then I've got my embroidery thread. Now, my embroidery thread I'm using, as I said before, embroidery thread normally is like this, and then you've got 6 strands. So when you're using your embroidery thread, you'd use 2 strands generally for general embroidery. But because these holes are quite big, quite large, you want to use a whole strand, the whole thread here of your whole skein. So what you want to do is you want to have a needle with a big enough eye to fit all of those through, and a sharp enough needle to go through everything. Because when you're going through all these perforations, it's okay, it's nice and easy. But when you cut out shapes with your felt, you also want a needle that is strong enough to go through these, so pointed enough. So you need to make sure you get the right kind of needle.
Oh, so those little shapes got holes in too?
No, they don't. None of the shapes have holes. None that come with them. But you know, because you want to give them, you want to make sure you're sort of being able to stitch through. Even as I'm going through just this felt without going through any other fabric. So this is cotton fabric, it's quite thin. If I was going through something like denim, you definitely want some kind of leather needle. But just be mindful of the size of the eye of the needle versus the size of the how pointed your needle is. So here, I'm just going to start with that thread. I'll pop it through that perforation, and then when I get to the back, I'm just going to fold it over, and then I should be able to just capture that thread.
And what stitch would you recommend for doing this?
So you're just going to do a back stitch.
A nice, simple back stitch.
Yeah. So you could tie this into a little knot, which is what I probably will do here, or you can just capture the thread underneath. Because we're not doing, we've got quite big stitches. I'm just going to do a quick knot like that. So we've done that first stitch, and then we want to go back or up through the next stitch and then back on ourselves.
Right. So even though it's 6 threads thick, you're effectively putting 12 threads through each hole, and it's fine.
Yeah. And you're not, but basically when you've got your hole, you're sort of stitching, you're coming out one end of the hole. You see what I'm doing here? I'm coming up at the back end of that hole. You see you've got the big, I'm not coming up in the middle, just coming up at the back end. And then I'm coming in down through the front end. So you're coming in, you're getting into the middle overall, but you're getting like a nice smooth stitch all the way through. Otherwise, if I came up here at the very top of that, the very front of that stitch, that front of that hole, my next stitch would slightly overlap. So you want to try and make it nice and simple, nice and even. So we're just going to continue stitching through here, like that. Now your thread really should only be the length from the tip of your forefinger to your elbow, and I've made this a little bit longer, which is why every now and again it gets tangled like this. have to flip it over and do that just to move it around, because it just gets a little bit tangled. So sometimes it's a false economy to think, oh, and I'm going to cut a piece big enough to do all my stitching. Don't be like me, be sensible. There you go. So you can see here, in a minute, it won't be a problem. You're just going to stitch through, just continue to go around. And this makes a really good activity to do with children, but also with people who've have got limited dexterity and they want to improve the muscles in their hands. So my father-in-law's had some surgery on his hand, and they said to him to do something like this kind of activity to strengthen the muscles in his hand, and he's ignored that and he's played golf instead. But this would be quite a good thing to do, because it is quite simple to do, it's achievable, and it will be something that's nice and easy to manipulate and to put together. So I'll just finish that last little bit there.
Okay, well, everyone can see how we're going. We're just coming up to, well, we've got about 45 seconds left, so you can see how our Becky is doing with this. Doesn't it look effective? So pretty. I love the contrast of the thread. So effective. But this is just the first of our shows today. We've got another show at 3 p.m. UK time, and that's going to be all about bag making. It's Craft Your Stash. We're going to carry on with our bag making, so it's going to be super, super fun. So I hope you can go and have a nice break. Breakfast if that's where you are, lunch if you're in the UK like we are or somewhere similar. Becky and I are off to have some lunch, and we will be back in 2 hours, see how Becky's getting on, and to craft her stash and make some bags. Take care, and we'll see you in 2 hours. Bye.